I'm not holding myself up above anybody. I'm telling you, I'm doing what I want to do to protect my children from what's coming to this country. I have studied dictatorships, and as sure as I'm sitting here, the left-wing vermin surrounding Obama would turn this country into a prison camp if they're let loose. They would put you in a concentration camp. They'll call it a re-education camp. I'm warning you. I am right. I've studied these things. But I walk around the streets and I see that it's almost hopeless. I see college children who know nothing about anything. Nothing. Marijuana, drugs, sex, music, that's all they know. They think because they can Twitter and they can text message each other that they're a combination of Albert Einstein and Chopin together. They're better than Einstein and Chopin because they can sit with a finger and tap out hieroglyphics to each other. Further and further diminishing the literacy level of America with these idiotic devices, reducing things to their telegraphic minimal. No nuance, no subtlety, no literature, no science, no poetry, no art, just twittering. What happened to the Republican Party? Why did they not say one word about Janet Napolitano's power grab and her attack on American citizens? It took a Democrat, an African-American Democrat, Benny Thompson, to say he was shocked by the DHS report. Not one Republican has said a word, Jimmy.
And nobody's calling for her to be fired other than you. She should be fired and put in the re-education camp or sensitivity training. She's a bigot. This is frightening. This is frightening stuff.
Well, she's actually abrogated civil rights, human rights, political rights. She's done everything the left claims they're for, or rather against, and they've said nothing. The only people speaking out are people like myself. But where is the Republican Party? They're worthless.
I just wish the other talk show host understood the communist threat.
Let me ask you something. How come the great blowhard Rush Limbaugh hasn't backed me in my DHS lawsuit? How come the man with fat thighs and too tight jeans, Wallbanger, hasn't said a word? How come the hemorrhoid with ears hasn't said a word? The answer is they're nothing but entertainers who are faking it as conservatives. Don't you get it, Jimmy? I'm a man alone here.
Well, on this...
Look, I don't want to go into it. I'm in a bad mood. I'll let you know what I really feel in a minute. Everything is melting down faster than you can imagine. Oh. We can take requests, rock and roll requests. You understand I am suing. You understand this is not a joke. You understand this lawsuit's going to go forward. You understand we're going to bring Janet Napolitano to a court of law. You understand we're going to get the documentation and see who's actually on the classified list. You may find out that you're on the list. By the way, you'll thank me for this in the long run. Here it is. I never thought I'd be in a position like this where I'm the enemy of the government. Here I am trying to protect the people from a government that's out of control, and the government is seen as the friend of the people, when in fact it's the enemy of the freedom of the people. If I were 20 years younger, I would run for office. I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to do it. I'm not a politician. I never have been. I don't have the nature for it. I don't have the head for it. I don't have the desire for it. I'm a loner. I'm a typical loner. I'm the type that likes to be left alone, to think on my own, to come up with ideas on my own. I can't work with others. I can't. I never could. People distract me in a work setting. I'm not into groupthink. Some do. There's nothing wrong with it if you can. I can't sit in a room in a meeting and listen to people whose ideas I don't think are valid and sit there and go, Margie, you're in that, Margie, you like your input, Margie? Yeah, Margie, right on. And your input, Schmuck, okay. And Hiram, what's your input? And Jane, what's your input? And I mean, you can't listen to it. I'm the guy in the room with a pencil who could design the Brooklyn Bridge before there was a computer. You know what I'm saying? That kind of mind. That's the way it is. That's why I've written books. I was always a kid who made airplane models as a child. I sat alone in a room making models. I guess I should have been on a terrorist watch list even then. Look out for young white boys from the Bronx who make airplane models and are not at Yankee Stadium. I mean, maybe that's a future terrorist right there. You never know. I mean, he can wind up on talk radio writing books that people read that disagree with little Nazis like Janet Napolitano, little Hitlers in the making, little oven stuffers who would have been glad to work in Bergen-Belsen with matrons' uniforms, pushing people into ovens in the name of a one world, ein Volk, ein Reich, ein Führer. You know what I'm saying? Ein Volk, ein Reich, ein Obama. Ein Volk, ein Reich, ein Obama. You almost have to speak German to understand what's going on. You know, ein Volk, ein Reich, ein Obama. You don't get it, you schmucks, you idiots don't see what's going on. You have a naked communist administration strangling you step by step with one demonic left-winger after another. He is now reaching out to Chavez, a man who hates this country's economic system. Why do you suppose he's doing this? 4 beasts come out of the sea, ferocious as a lion, quick as an eagle, voracious as a bear. A fearsome beast proves to be different, swift as a winged leopard. I mean, read the Bible, maybe you'll get your answer. Because we now have a prophecy emerging in front of our eyes. I think that most of this has been predicted, and I believe that the Bible, which did predict, and I know many of you are not Bible believers, you laugh at this, but there are people for whom the Bible is the living Word of God and the living truth, and they live and die by it. They would rather die than violate the codes of the Bible. And so they understand what happens when an individual goes outside the boundaries of God's rules. They know that we're all tempted, and they know that we all break God's rules on a regular basis. But they also know that we have to keep reinforcing God's rules in order to keep us sane and sound. Even if we break God's rules, we have to respect God's rules. Don't you understand that? It doesn't make you a hypocrite if you occasionally break one of God's rules. You got to keep struggling for the ideal, for the perfect, by adhering to those 10 commandments. It doesn't mean you're going to meet up to that. It doesn't mean you're going to meet all of those goals at all times, but you've got to try. Because the day you cast aside these ironclad rules that are fixed in stone, the 10 commandments, after all, are fixed in stone, that's the day that we have nothing left. We have nothing to hold on to. Everything disintegrates. And that's why this liar is so dangerous. And that's why these atheists around them are even more dangerous. And the question is, who is going to rule the earth? Who will rule the world? Do you actually want a coalition of China and Russia and Chavez and Cuba telling you how to run your life here in America? Do you want a supine president who welcomes input from Chavez and Castro and Russia and China in United States law? Is that what you want? Have you any idea what that will bring to this country, whether you're on the left or the right? So many of you say, I pray that the Messiah returns right now to save us. Well, you can keep praying. Jews, the Messianic Jewish people believe that as well. And they keep believing that this is going to save us. I have no answer to that. In the theological questions, I leave to others. I don't invest myself in theological questions. But where are we in terms of world history? Where are we in terms of world history? There was Jerusalem. Jerusalem was rebuilt in 406. The Messiah appears to the Christian people in the year 29 of the A.D. The Messiah is cut off in 33 of A.D. And to the Christian people, they're awaiting the return of the Messiah. You may not know it, but there's an entire division of the Jewish people, the Orthodox Jewish people, who also are waiting for. They believe the Messiah has not arisen, but they also are Messianic. And they believe only the Messiah can save us. I actually believe only we can save us, to be frank. I'm not looking for some spiritual guidance to save me from the oven stuffers that are running America. I am not looking for any spiritual salvation to save us from clear and present danger in the form of a woman who is in charge of the most powerful spy agency, domestic spy agency, and you have not one word from the so-called ACLU, not one word from that blowhard Rush Limbaugh, not one word from Wallbanger, not one word from the hemorrhoid with ears, in understanding that the lawsuit I filed is for the protection of all of us. And that is because they're not in it for anybody but themselves. They're in for their own aggrandizement. Now, if you say, so am I, you're wrong. And I'm going to prove it to you right now. What do I gain by filing this lawsuit? Tell me what I gain by it. I'm not looking for any money. I can't win any money from it. So I have now made myself perhaps the most hated man to this government. The most hated man to the Department of Homeland Security is not Osama bin Laden. It's not the head of a gang from El Salvador. It's not the head of a gang from Mexico. It's Michael Savage, because I sit here and tell you the plain truth. So are they now turning all of their spy apparatus on me? I hope not, but I have no idea what's going on inside that agency. Do you? Do you have any idea what they're doing inside there with all of the deviants who have taken over these organizations? all of these left-wing deviants have taken over these organizations? It doesn't mean that within the structure there aren't patriots. There are. And we can only pray that the patriots in DHS, FBI, NCIS will release documents to the media whenever they see them emerging. Get them out. Get them out underground to anybody you can. Make sure that the American people are aware of what your bosses are planning so that we don't wind up with a communist regime in this country arresting people in the middle of the night and putting them in black cars and taking them away and you never see them again. Watch out, because it could happen in the blink of an eye. That's the consequence of electing this imposter. We try to warn you who he was. Only the naked truth can protect us from the coming terror in this country.